Yeah, good afternoon and welcome to chapter 34 of The Living Marriage. We are nearing the conclusion of this book. Next week will be chapter 35 and chapter 36, which are really the two last chapters in the book. I might give an outro. He has an appendix at the end of the book where he discusses some other issues in a deeper sense. We might have next week and then the week after. We already have the next book for our lecture series on Hashkafa, and the book is called um, the 10 really dumb mistakes that really smart couples make. It's written by Rabbi Zion Schaefer, uh, the founder of the Shmooze, if you know what that is. He's from Muncie. Um, Ben Zion Schaefer is actually my name, technically. My great grandfather changed the name from Schaefer to Lang. So technically, my name should be Ben Zion Schaefer, but it's not. It's Ben Zion Lang. So that's not why I picked the book. It's a book about mistakes that couples make, shalom bias mistakes, things outside the bedroom. I don't think he talks at all about the intimacy in the book. The reason I picked this book, even though I mentioned many times throughout this book that 98% of the success of a marriage is determined in the bedroom, and only 2% matters other things outside the bedroom. Um, First of all, most people, the only thing they speak about, this is taboo. All my shirim here are taboo. People are not going to speak about this stuff and definitely not tell other people about it. They might listen to it privately on their YouTube, but when someone else walks in, they'll switch to something else because they're embarrassed of listening to this. It's taboo to talk about this. Um, People don't feel uncomfortable talking about this. Feel more comfortable talking about shalom bias problems, like the guy leaves his jacket on the chair. Should you tell him or not? Should you should you? That's like one of the examples in the book where the wife you know says something negative to her husband, doesn't give honor to her husband, insults her husband. He insults her. When are you allowed to insult? When you're not allowed to insult? These things are trivial things, but they don't really contribute to the success or the failure of a marriage. But this is what people talk about. This is what people are interested in. So it is 2%. 2% is something. But I realized something else also. And it finally took me to the end of this book to realize this. I always say 98% of a marriage is determined in the bedroom, and I believe it's true. But when I say 98% is determined in the bedroom, it's not exactly um, because of how well you're enjoying the bedroom. That's, I would say, half of it. I'd say 49 out of the 98% um, is due to the fact that if you're doing something that the man and woman both enjoy in the bedroom, that will make a successful marriage. If one or both parties are not happy with the bedroom, or you're not doing it enough or in the right way, so it's going to ruin a marriage, right? Oftentimes, people don't know that that's what's ruining the marriage, and they make other excuses up. A lot of the things they talk about in the Shalom Bias books, this book I'm going to read, um, are a lot of time excuses that people come up with, finding nitpicking things because they don't want to talk about, or they don't even know that what's really bothering them is the failure in the bedroom. But there's a second 49% aspect to the bedroom, and that is that the reason the bedroom is so important is not just because the heart of a marriage is the reason you get married is for the bedroom, for intimacy, and you want to enjoy intimacy and have success in intimacy and connect through intimacy. Um, the reason why intimacy is so important is because the most uncomfortable and awkward part of a marriage is the bedroom for anyone, right? Even talking to a woman is awkward, especially for people who didn't grow up talking to girls. It's awkward. So, okay, that's very awkward. But the most awkward part is the bedroom, obviously, um, because you're exposing your most private self to the other person. So it's very embarrassing, the whole thing. That's why no one will talk about it. It's taboo. People don't talk about it. They feel very uncomfortable even talking about it, let alone doing whatever they need to do in the bedroom to make themselves happy and to make their partner happy. So the real reason that marriages break down, or at least 49%, 50% of the reason that marriages break down, is because of lack of communication, right? Which you're probably going to talk about in the Shalom Bias book, about how people don't communicate properly. That's probably one of the biggest problems with Shalom Bias. They don't speak out what's bothering them, or they don't speak out what's bothering them the right way. They're too overbearing with the way they speak about it. So the biggest impediment to open conversation and to be able to communicate properly is not feeling comfortable with each other, right? If you don't feel comfortable with each other, if you can't speak out what's really bothering you, some people, don't even know. It's buried deep inside. But if you know and you want to be able to communicate your spouse, tell them this is bothering me. you know, the reason people don't communicate is because they feel awkward. They don't have a close relationship. They have an awkward relationship, or sometimes it's just a lack of a relationship, right? Because one of the parties is not home a lot, or they're not giving them their attention. So usually people who have a bad relationship in the bedroom or awkward in the bedroom, it leads people to close themselves up and not talk to the other party, and communication starts in the bedroom. If you starts and ends in the bedroom. If you don't have a good relationship in the bedroom, you're awkward in the bedroom, you're never going to have open communication, and that will destroy your marriage. It will destroy your marriage. Most people don't get full communication with their spouse because they're not fully comfortable in the bedroom. It's very hard to be fully comfortable in the bedroom. Even if you're married to a woman for 20 years, it's very uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable thing to talk about. Talk about people who have deficiencies in the bedroom, They're not able to do certain things. I've heard about different people not able, her husband's not able to show love in the bedroom. It's pretty common probably. I don't even know, but I'll tell you this. I will tell you that I've read through almost all this book over here. And the advice that this author gives about intimacy either comes from words he heard from his Rebbeim or Gedolim, or lessons he learned from Chazal or his interpretation of Chazal. Not one time in this book did the author give you a perspective that came from a woman, right? Why is the author not quoting his wife more, right? If you want to know about what makes a woman happy, right, that's the point of this book, right? Most of the point of the book of intimacy for men, it's written for men, right? Maybe to read with their wives, but men have to understand women. You can't make them happy in the bedroom, or you can't have a good relationship in the bedroom if you don't understand women. Where are you going to get your knowledge about women? The best source of knowledge about women is coming from a woman herself. And the only woman who's going to give you that information is your wife, right? So if you have open communication with your wife, you have opened yourself up to a fountain of knowledge about the other sex, is the other gender. It's really an unbelievable thing, because if you're not awkward in the bedroom and you have an open relationship and you can talk about these things and you're clear about these things and you're comfortable. A lot of people are awkward even around other men, right? And certainly around other women, and certainly with women in their bedroom. So it's very hard not to be awkward. But if you're not awkward and you have open communication with your wife, she'll tell you everything. Not only she can tell you about her wants and needs, but she'll tell you about other women's wants and needs, because that's what women talk about. If you realize that, men will never talk about these things with other men, but women do. That's what they talk. They love talking about these things. If your wife has sisters, she has sisters-in-laws, friends. She's going to talk to them, and she's going to tell you stories that they told her about their private life, or a story they heard about other women. You're getting an entire angle. You can get take a poll. You can get 10, 15, 20 different stories of, or views of women, what they prefer in the bedroom, what they don't. And it's a whole, fountain of knowledge, and it's accurate knowledge because it's coming from the woman herself, as opposed to some conjecture that you're getting based on your interpretation of what the Torah is trying to tell you, or the Maharal is trying to tell you, or Chazal are trying to tell you, or your Rebbe thinks, or the Gedolim think. Not one time did anyone, even the Gedolim, he quotes Gedolim often, not any time did the Gedolim bring proof from their wives. Maybe they consider it inappropriate to talk about their wives, but in my opinion, they didn't have open communication with their wives, so they weren't exposed to this fountain of information, fountain of knowledge. So that's why that's a big turnoff for me, for the author over here. That's why I disagree with him almost everything in the book, because he's not getting a legitimate perspective. He's not talking with his wife. He's not quoting from his wife, or at least indirectly saying that he got this knowledge from other women. Because listen, even a marriage counselor, right? He talks to men and women. He might talk to the man. I mean, if he's a male marriage counselor, usually he'll talk to the man about things going on in the bedroom, but the woman's going to feel very uncomfortable talking about things in the bedroom with him. So it's very hard for men to get a correct perspective on what women really want in the bedroom, what they're looking for in the bedroom. The only way you could do that is have a completely comfortable relationship with your wife, who will tell you these things, what she likes, and she'll tell you what all her friends and sisters and sister-in-laws like also. So it's really, unfortunately, you don't see it over here. But the point is, is that if you're not comfortable in the bedroom, so you're gonna lack communication, and the communication will destroy the marriage. If you don't communicate, it'll just like there's no communication in the bedroom, you're gonna feel awkward talking about things outside the bedroom, and that could break down a marriage, which you know, which manifests itself in the things that this book is probably going to talk about. This book is probably going to talk about a lot of things that arise in shalom bias, just arguments and how to, resolve arguments and how to avoid arguments and, and things like that, and not to get on each other's nerves and to deal with each other's idiosyncrasies and things like that, boring stuff. But if you don't have communication, which 49% comes from, you know, from the bedroom, which 40% of the marriage, the sex of the marriage comes from the communication that's derived from being comfortable in the bedroom. So you're not going to have good communication even outside the bedroom through the marriage. So that's why the book is important. It's important because people talk about it. So it's interesting to talk about, even though technically it's only responsible for 2%, but really it's responsible for half of the marriage if you don't have good communication in the marriage. And most people don't have good communication in the bedroom. So then those things become important. But the answer is that it's not going to help to fix those problems, because it's just like putting a Band-Aid on, a gushing wound, or putting, if your boat has a lot of holes in it, you put, you fix one hole, but the water comes out a different hole, so it's like putting a Band-Aid on a giant wound. It's just to talk about those things about, being mavater and, letting your wife get her way and compromising and things like that, because you're not getting to the source of the problem, because you might help for this problem, but because there's no open communication, it's not going to help for the other problems. Eventually it's going to downward spiral, and either you'll manage and live in a terrible marriage because you don't want to get divorced because of societal pressure, or it's bad for the kids, or you'll end up getting divorced. So it is responsible 50%, meaning the things that he talks about in the book are 50% responsible for divorce rates. However, they really trace themselves back to the bedroom, but what can we do? All right, anyway, let's get back to chapter 34 today. The reason I let myself digress is because I wanted to inform you what we're doing next. And it's a short chapter, and again, it's something that his two sources for what he says in this chapter is a Zohar and a Maharal. So these are things we don't really understand. The chapter is titled "The Evil Inclination and Intimacy." Proper use of the evil inclination. Chazal teach that everything, this is how he starts the chapter. Chazal teach that everything Hashem created in his world was for the sake of his glory, and the evil inclination is no exception. The Zohar explains the potential glory of God, which can be achieved through the evil inclination, referring particularly to a man's physical desire for a woman, in the following way. He quotes the Zohar in Parshas Bereshit. El Yetzer Tov Leila Garme. The good inclination was created for itself. Yetzer Hara La'asara Lagabi Nukve. And the evil inclination was created in order to arouse him toward his wife. Now, Nukve, he's translating his wife. Nukve is woman, Nekevos, doesn't say his wife. Right? So he's mistranslating already there. To arouse him, he means, I guess, in a sexual way, to arouse him towards his wife. And he's learning that the Zohar is talking about the Yetzer Hara causes you to have physical desire for your wife, which again, he's saying it's in bed. And he does essentially say in the chapter that it's a 3-step process, right? The bedroom. Number one, this is how it works in order when you have sex with your wife. Number one, the process begins as the couple allows. See, I don't think it's bad to say the word sex, because people will say, "Oh, you're instigating the Yetzer Hara" and things like that. There's no Yetzer Hara in the bedroom. As I mentioned before at the beginning of lesson number 10, the Yetzer Hara is to think that you have to reduce your physicality and enjoyment in the bedroom. That's the greatest Yetzer Hara. There's nothing wrong. The greatest Kedusha is enjoying yourself in the bedroom. That's the real Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is not the one that tells you to have taiva and enjoy your wife excessively. No, you should. That's the Yetzer Tov isn't telling you to enjoy your wife excessively. Yetzer Hara is telling you not to do it, to make some sort of balance, which doesn't make any sense. So number one, the process begins. The couple allows the evil inclination to become an honorary, quote unquote, an honorary general, using its power to bring them to a complete state of physical unification. Right? If you didn't have Yetzer Hara, if you didn't have desire for physicality, for having sex with your wife, then at the end of the day, you wouldn't want to have sex with your wife. And two, upon achieving this state, the evil inclination leaves. Okay, I don't exactly know which part it leaves in, right? Is that after the Gemar Bia, after the man lets the semen out, or before? And the couple prepares to ascend to even greater state of inner unity. That is, the evil inclination is not directly connected to the holiness of the union itself, but it's an essential part of unifying the two bodies that can be fitting to receive the higher completion called chedva. Number 3, as the couple embraces each other with desire and intention for complete unification, the good inclination, now the Yetzer Tov somehow jumps back to the picture, is aroused and unifies them from within, leading them towards chedva. This is chedva, it's translated as happiness, an extreme type of happiness. This is the final goal, the state of holiness which is described by the Torah and its commandment to be holy. And he has a footnote number 5 over here. Although the discussion described this process as 3 distinct steps, in reality it is a path of unifying love which begins with more emphasis on the physical and naturally leads to a greater inner unity as the physical desire fades away. Okay? Does he mean maybe after, I don't know, ejaculation, there's no more physical desire? I don't know. The exact relationship between these 3 aspects, emotional love, physical desire, and spiritual unity, is completely individual for every couple. Okay. I don't understand anything about this chapter because he's trying to explain a Zohar, and he brings a Maral at the end. Maral hard to understand also. The end of this Zohar, I'll just read it, where he's getting this concept of chedva from. V'lo miskashra ad yetzer hara isar legaba. Right? People don't, man and woman don't join together until the yetzer hara arouses him to her. Miskashrin dabada, and they unite. The cave of the miskashrin dabada, when they unite, kidain isar yetzer tov diu chedva b'aisila legabe. And the yetzer tov, which is called chedva, which is extreme joy, brings her to him. Now, what the Zohar is talking about, who knows? I don't know what he's talking about. But he thinks this is an explanation of, I mentioned these 3 steps. That's what the 3 steps he gets from. The Yetzer Hara, causes him to be aroused by a woman. Then once he's aroused, they start foreplay. I don't know, they have fun. And then somehow, either they complete the intercourse or they don't complete I'm not clear. They completed the intercourse. And then when they complete the intercourse, the Yetzer Tov comes and brings her to him. Brings her to him to what? So that he can provide an orgasm for her. I don't know what the Zohar means, but he apparently knows what the Zohar means. He said the Zohar explains the evil inclination's job is an essential part of unifying the couple. But after unification, there's a new awakening of the good inclination, which brings to an even higher level of spiritual bliss, which is called chedva. First of all, he says chedva is spiritual bliss. Okay, why is that? Why is that true? It doesn't say that. Okay, so these three steps were the Stipler's. I don't want to not quote the Dover B'Shem Omro. It was the Stipler's 3 steps that he learned from the Zohar. He does mention that the Yetzer Hara is a state of impurity. Here, chedva cannot be described by words. Anyone who has achieved it. This is what the author says. Chedva cannot be described by words, but anyone who achieved it will understand how it can fix up any negativity which is caused by impurity. Obviously, the impurity is Yetzer Hara, original sin, right? The physicality is evil. Achieving this state is not simply an extra detail in mitzvah ona. It's one of the primary goals of marriage and uplifts the couple to a transcendent state of shalom bayis, which is one of the greatest expressions of unity in this world. One who achieves this state will find enlightenment in every aspect of his life, and a special light of completion will be recognizable on his face. Such a person will find it easy to understand the words of Chazal, who testify that a man who is not married has no happiness, no blessing, and no Torah. There are people walking around, you see people walking around, they're happy people, they understand the Zohar, and they know exactly what to do in the bedroom. Again, I disagree with this whole chapter. There's no Yetzer Hara that tells you to engage in excessive physicality. That's not true, I don't believe. What he's talking about, chedva over the Zohar. I mean, I'll give you my explanation of the Zohar. I think El Yetzer Tov Hil Lagarme, Yetzer Tov is telling you to enjoy the bedroom. That's what Yetzer Tov. Yetzer Hara is Ara Lagabi Nukve. Doesn't say to your wife. Like I mentioned, Yetzer Hara really tells you to overthink things. That's what Yetzer Hara does. And part of completion, being a complete person in this world, which he sort of alludes to when he talks about the purpose of the bedroom is to unification. The man and the woman, the only time you can reach the female aspect of yourself is being together with your wife. But I disagree. I think a man has an ability to reach into the feminine perspective. Everyone has he's a man, so he has more masculinity than femininity. But To be a complete person, you have to be someone who's in touch with the female side of yourself. Emotional purple. A man should be emotional. A man should have emotions. A complete man, not like Andrew Tate says, is someone who's in touch with femininity. A complete man is someone who's able to do everything that a woman could do, right? And you really need to be married and have kids to be able to do that. You have to be able to cook. You gotta be able to clean. You gotta be able to do the laundry, change diapers, watch the kids. You know, take control over everything. Be a doctor, because that's gonna be a parent with young kids. If the kids get sick a lot, so they have to be a doctor, know how to administer medication, make decisions about medication, make decisions when to go see a doctor. There's a lot women have. It's not easy to take care of kids. It's not easy. It's very hard. Not easy to manage a house. People say a housewife doesn't work. It's a job to be a housewife. My wife says a lot of times, like, we need the money. Maybe you should go, work in the morning. I said, listen, I need you to be in the house to take care of the kids that are home. They're not going to nursery. You're too young to go to nursery, and to clean the house and to do laundry. If you're going to work in the mornings and work and take care of the kids, we're not going to have time. We don't have a cleaning lady. I need you to make my house neat, to make it, cook the food on time, do the laundry, so I have clean towels, clean clothes. Those are things that are indispensable for humanity, being a human being. So a wife has a hard job, and a man has to be able to, a complete man has to be in touch with femininity. And really the only way to do that is to get married. Really, that's the only way to do it. Have girlfriends and things like that without kids, or even having kids, and you're paying the woman money for paternity, because you're the father, whatever those called, the payments you have to make to help the mother out. You're not with the kids around. You're not gonna figure out how to be like a woman. You have to be able, and truly, a man who has all who's in touch with his feminine side, who's emotional also, he knows how to win over every woman. Now, Andrew Tate tells you that he can get every woman in the world. They'll all service him. They'll all be loyal to him. But what he doesn't tell you is that there are certain women of high value that he'll never be able to get. Women that are not, willing to sleep with anyone. Because the women that he's getting are women that are willing to sleep with anybody. But women of high value, like from Jewish women, that are not going to just, go sleep with you. They want to, they're not going to be with you until you get married to them. So those are women of high value. He admits he wants women of high value. He doesn't like the women that have slept with 100 people. So he admits himself, that he's missed something. He's missing the boat over here, partly because he's not married. He said he has like 10 kids, different mothers. It doesn't make a difference. He says he's never changed a diaper. He doesn't cook. He doesn't do these things. So he's not in touch with the feminine self. In a sense, it is called toxic masculinity. Without being in touch with your feminine side, you have too much masculinity. Every man should be in touch with the feminine side because it helps you relate to other women in general. And if you really want to court high value women and really go on a date, date women and be successful at dating women and be a real alpha male. You got to be able to relate to women, because the conversations that women want to have with you, they want to, escalate to being together with you and being your girlfriend. To get a girl to marry you, you have to have meaningful emotional conversations with them and really lower yourself to their level, lower yourself to the feminine level. And if you're not in touch with that, you're never going to get there. So I think that's what the Zohar is talking about. The Yetzer Hara, some people don't understand this, and people want women to be their girlfriends or their wives. They try to be very nice to women and things like that. And it's a step in the right direction, because it's overthinking it, right? Being nice to women. A woman is not going to be attracted to you if you're nice to her. She'll put you in the friend zone. She doesn't. They don't like when you're nice to them. You have to be selfish when it comes to women. Talk about yourself. Talk down to women. That's way of flirting with them. When you talk down to them, you don't put them on the same level as you. Not that you're treating them inferior to you, but women want to be talked down to. They want to be flirted with. They want you to tell them to lead, to tell them what to do. That's what a real woman wants. She wants a real man to tell her what to do, to tell her. I'm not saying and to do something she doesn't want to do, but just to lead. Let's go here. Let's do this. Let's do that. A man's in charge who knows how to lead. So really, that's a complete man. But the shortcut is just to be a nice person. But once you're a nice person to a woman, right? You're nice, because women like to be treated nicely. They don't like when people are rude to them. But if you treat them nicely, then it's a shortcut. It's unattractive to a woman, and they feel like you're too feminine. It's overthinking it. You're too feminine. So you have to have the aspect of femininity where you can relate to them. You're an emotional person. You have emotions, and you can relate to what they have to do in life and what they have to accomplish in life, what they want in life. Women, to them, almost one of the main things besides their husband is they're having children, and raising their children. You gotta be able to relate to that and be able to do what a woman can do, and that really gives you an advantage when you date women. And but the point is that that's what the Zohar is talking about, in touch with your feminine side. And the Yetzer Hara tells you to overthink it, be a nice person, be nice to them. What can I do a favor for you? What can I help you pick the stroller up the stairs? No. Don't be so nice to women. Don't. If you want to attract women, don't be nice to them, but be in touch with your feminine side so that you can be relatable to them. So relatable is relationship, the same word. So that's all that he's talking about over here. What the Zohar continues to talk about, miskashrin da b'da. I don't know if it's talking about intercourse. I think it's just talking about going on a date, relating to each other. I see Lila Gabe, and then she'll chase after him. She'll go after the man. If you're in touch with your feminine side, again, Yetzer Hara is helpful because it tells you, to go to your feminine side, but it's like too much, right? It causes you to overthink sometimes. You have to cut out the Yetzer Hara part, the overthinking, and go in the direction of the Yetzer Hara, which goes to tell you, be in touch with your feminine side of yourself. Just, do it in a way that'll attract women and not put you in the friend zone. So that's really all the Zohar is saying over here. That's what I believe the Zohar is saying over here. He's not talking about intercourse over here, or chedva. So I don't think it's really relevant to this chapter, this book, which talks about intimacy over here. Ultimately, it does result in intimacy because if you can attract women and you can date them successfully and you can marry them, so then it does lead to intimacy. But at the end of the day, I mentioned this many times, unification is not between man and woman. Unification is the man finding the female side of himself. And that's really all there is. In terms of the intimacy, when you get to the bedroom, enjoy yourself, have fun with your wife, or wives. Talked about before polygamy. I strongly believe in polygamy. Listen, the Western world, it's communism over here with women, right? Everyone gets monogamy. It's communist, A capitalist society. We believe in capitalism for our money. We should believe in capitalism for women also, The best man gets the most wives, It's not unfair to the wives, even though most wives would rather only have their man for themselves. But that's only if he's a man. There's not too many real men in the world, right? Trust me, a woman would rather be married to a real man, even if she has to be a rival wife to many other wives, than be married to a woman, because most men are really women. They're not really men. It's very hard to be a real man. It's really hard to be. Only alpha males are really real men. There's not too many alpha males in the world. So it's very hard to be that, and ultimately one day society will catch on to this and it'll be a capitalistic society when it comes to marriage also. That's the polygamy is the Torah's answer to capitalism. That's what it believes in. Capitalism with women also. The person who is the most successful will attract the most women. If you're not successful, you don't get a wife. Anyway, hope you enjoyed today's lecture. We'll move on to the next week, the sin of Adam HaRishon. We'll talk more about that. Again, I believe that it's never actually happened. Christianity and this author believe it did happen, but we'll talk more about that next week. Hope you enjoyed. See you next week.